What's going on, everybody? This is the Lower Midcard Podcast. I'm Kyle Driver.
And I'm Grind.
And what a week.
What a normal whirlwind of Survivor Series things that have been happening. The holidays are approaching and have been approaching for a while. And we've been going through the holiday motion.
Mm-hmm.
How jolly are you feeling, Kyle?
I'm gonna let's just get this out of the way now, okay? Because I mean, I've sent you a text, and I was like, I'm fucking.
Let's just you know what? Just let the world know how jolly you're feeling this holiday season.
Okay, so I'm not gonna get too into it, but I'm gonna come out of the gate and just say I love wrestling, but I fucking hate wrestling fans. Y'all are the fucking worst.
Kyle? Why?
Because, okay, the contradictions that they just constantly, it's brand versus brand blowhards for whatever fucking reason. No, because wrestling fans, they can't be fucking happy. They can't be satisfied that there's so much fucking wrestling that we can watch Monday through Saturday. No, but we got to do this brand fucking draw lines in the sand, Coke versus Pepsi fucking stupidness. I can't stand it. I can't. Oh, the other brand, Tony Khan, blah, blah, blah. And then the WWE, Triple H, blah, blah, blah. Fucking, will you guys fucking hug and make up? Just enjoy that there's so much fucking wrestling going on. It's so ridiculous. Well, AEW's not doing good. They're just what? Well, they're fucking doing just fine. They're doing just fine. But let's get this out of the way because I've alluded to this shit before. WWE is for entertainment. It's
100%.
for the casual. It's for the casual fan. That's who it's catered to. It's not catered to wrestling fans. Sorry to burst your bubble. I'm not saying that if you watch WWE, you're not a wrestling fan. But I'm just saying it's an entertainment company that does wrestling versus
100%.
everyone else. Everyone else, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor. Well, they do wrestling with a little bit of entertainment. Well, their storylines suck. Well, I don't fucking care. It's Kenny Omega versus whoever, or it's Swerve Strickland versus Jay White. Like, okay, it's Will Ospreay. Are you fucking kidding me? What do I got to be mad about? Jesus Christ. Like, let people fucking enjoy what they want to enjoy without this fucking finger pointing and stone throwing. Fucking babies.
Just to touch on that just a little bit. I picked up the Kenny Omega punchable buddy. Had to have him after the last conversation we had. Yeah. And so he now sits right there. On top of that, Kyle, where's this stemming from?
Oh, do we do it now?
Okay, no, you know what? We got to go through Survivor Series.
All right. So time out. Okay. Yeah. So this was the prelude. Okay. Yeah. Now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts, and then we're going to have the conclusion because it's all going to come around full circle.
It's all going to make sense here in just a little bit.
It will.
We're going on 2 weeks. I think a little bit about a week. It was a little over a week, right?
A little over a week.
Okay. Survivor Series was one of the big 4 events that WWE puts on throughout the year. It always has massive returns, monumental moments, and this was one of those events. We came in with some massive predictions, and the WWE kind of screwed us for the first time ever, in my opinion. They waited till the last second to make last-second changes to matches, and it wasn't one match. It wasn't 2 matches. It was like three or so matches that had altered opponents. And really made a difference in the layout of the night. The first match to begin things was, I thought it was great because
so good.
And this is, we talked about this way back in Money in the Bank, them starting out with the main attraction. They started out with War Games, and it was the women's War Games that started us off for Survivor Series. Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control, Asuka, Bayley, Kairi Sane, and Io Sky. And it was a great match. There were so many moments that I really looked to and loved and laughed. And something about the laughter sometimes is more just memorable than
rewarding.
More rewarding. And there's something about Io Sky putting a trash can on herself on the top of the cage and screaming, just full on yeeting herself like a meme, dude. I mean, she memed that trash can and just full on sent it. And it was one of the greatest moments ever. And I had said that Io Sky's title run has been very bleak. Now I understand this wasn't a women's title match. However, this is a part of that run. And this one moment may have made up for that entire bleak run. I've never seen anyone put a trash can on themselves and just yeet themselves off the steel cage, man. It was so good. And she sold it so well. I was a very happy man.
Yeah, and it makes me think of that scene in Dumb and Dumber when Harry looks at Lloyd and he goes, "Just when I thought you couldn't be any dumber, you pull a stunt like this and totally redeem yourselves." That's exactly it. This is that moment.
It is, and it was great. And the good guys come out on top. I'll be 1,000% honest. I'm not, on the flip side of the coin, Damage Control has created this very interesting narrative. And I've kind of touched on that. We've touched on it. Yeah. But the Shotzi character, who I once loved, ever since Damage Control has ruined her hair and cut her hair, and she's got this like punk rocker look. I'm not digging this insane, this insane character she's playing. Like, I'm not, she's not selling it on the mic. It's over the top. When you're with a Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and a Becky Lynch in the ring, and you're just selling a promo, and you're out of your mind, it doesn't, and everybody else is going, okay, Shotzi, they're trying to support you and whatnot. You just stand out like a sore thumb. It's not a good look. We all get that, we get the storyline. Doesn't mean you got to be over like that all the time. So
I just don't think she pulls off like the crazy person well. You know, like she did really cool with like the whole like being like super into like just punk and thrash metal and shit like that. Like that's
dope.
Cool.
It's dope.
Like I like that. But like you can't there's people that can pull that off and then people that can't.
Yes.
An example of people that can pull it off, I'm blanking on her name. But she's the one that's just been kind of standing there.
Oh my God.
Hasn't been doing anything.
Yes.
I can't think of her name right now. What the fuck?
I don't know. She's been around forever and she's been in a lot of tag team matches as of late.
Yeah.
And she'll just stand there on the side of the ropes and just like, she's been crazy. She's been crazy since forever. Alexa Bliss was her tag team partner. For those who are listening, if you know who we're talking about and you're screaming at us right now, it's okay, because
it's fucking her.
Nikki something. It's Nikki something. But yeah, that chick can pull
Nikki Cross. Oh my
Nikki
God.
Cross.
Fuck.
Okay.
She can pull off the crazy.
Yeah, she can. And
that's
it
what
works.
we're saying. God damn it.
But this, but Shotzi just, it's like, it's forced. Yeah. And it just doesn't need to be that way. And, she's got something really good going. There's a good storyline there with Damage Control, and then to see her on the good guy side with Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Bianca Belair, that's got to be a dream for her to be able to, move up to the main roster and be on the same side as those guys. I mean, that's huge. So
I just think creative maybe dropped the ball a little bit. With the direction of the character.
I think they're trying to make it unique and stand out, and it stands out, but it's also like, ooh, it's kind of
not hitting.
Yeah, it's cringe. It's a little cringe to watch. But in the match, man, everybody performed well.
It was amazing.
Yeah, nothing really bad to say other than I truly think Bayley's her time's very limited in Damage Control. I
mean, we can talk about it. I mean, on was it SmackDown?
Yes,
or Raw.
One of the two, but yes.
Anyway, so this week with wrestling, everything gets, there's so much, it just kind of like blends together.
Yeah.
But it's already been, you're starting to see where Bayley's starting to get left out, because they had a thing. and they went out there and they're like, you need to stay back here. And so they're already excluding her. So that direction that we talked about last pod, where she's going to be excommunicado more than likely, that seems to be coming to fruition.
Which I think is a wonderful move. We've talked about Bayley, regaining some of her independence and some of what characters she may become in the previous episodes. So it is interesting. I'm kind of excited to see that push happen. It's on the horizon. You can see it with Asuka and Kairi Sane and even Io Sky. And I think that faction, if they don't go with the Damage Control name, even if they do go with it, I think it is going to be a faction that you're going to remember for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to remember the Bayley version. I think that there's something really, really unique with Kairi Sane, Io Sky, and Asuka here that we haven't seen. And
Dakota.
Dakota plays that part really, really well, where she blends in really, really well.
She's the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And because she's good. I'm not gonna lie. It's the Australian accent for me.
I didn't even know she had an Australian accent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, you haven't been listening to her? Arnar.
Yeah, no, I have not been
listening. Arnar. But yeah, no, I think she's great on the mic. I think the direction that they're going with Damage Control without completely blowing it up like they do in a lot of cases, like we're actually seeing that drama play out that we've seen with like Judgment Day.
Did you notice? Did you notice? Not to cut you off, but did you notice that their song had changed?
Yeah,
the initial intro to the song is the same, and then it changes.
Yes,
and I was like, oh, you're foreshadowing right there. So yeah, it's wild. It's exciting, and for a War Games women's match, which actually had a lot of the same people in it from last year. This was great. It was everything I wanted to see. I think I even texted you at one point about the mist color. I can't remember what colors she used.
Yes, we were talking about mist colors.
Yeah. And so this goes back to, I'm trying to think who was the first person I saw do it, but it was during the 90s.
Gangrel?
No. Yes, it was. I think it was it was a Japanese fighter. Tajiri. Yes, the green mist. And so there was one night where he changed colors of the mist, and I remember them saying it was like a Sunday Night Heat or something. And then I remember them saying something about the meaning of it. So when it was red mist, I think the other day, I ended up sending you like a text on what it meant. And it was something about it made the eyes burn, but it was interesting to me because I was like, man, I totally forgot. And it resonated with me in that moment. Like, why is she changing the colors of the mist? And I think it's a, little kind of cool thing to talk about that most people won't talk about, that there are different colors of mist, which mean different things. And if you'd like to check it out, go Google it. It's pretty interesting. Or not, it doesn't really.
It's very interesting. It's wrestling. So fucking do it.
Yeah.
Do it, nerds.
Following that, you had a match that we didn't call. We thought it was going to be Solo Sikoa versus LA Knight. That's what we had on the books. Somebody got us in the wrong direction. And it was Gunther versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm going to put it out there. Ever since I saw The Miz in person at the house show, man, I'm sold. I love this guy. I was rooting for him. I wanted The Miz to be the Intercontinental Champion. I really did. And you know what? I think it's a timing thing. I don't know when they're going to let Gunther go. I mean,
I'm not sure.
There's so many stars, and there's more now than ever, right? What do you do with him? What do you do with somebody who's such a big star like Gunther? You can't move him up right now. There's no reason to. What are we doing? And he's a fighting champion.
He is.
It's great. The match was amazing. I really was rooting for the Miz. It looked like the Miz was going to pull it out, and then Gunther walked right all over him. So, Gunther retains the Intercontinental Championship. What do you think, Kyle?
I honestly, I'm looking at it here. Like I'm looking at, so he's on Raw, right?
Yeah.
I don't know who you have. And that's, I mean, we can start hashing that out, but there have been roster changes since,
Yes.
That match happened, and it definitely throws some things into the mix.
Yeah.
As to who maybe Gunther is going to finally get dropped to. I'm not sure.
Here's the thing. I think we look at a level of once you hit a level of stardom,
Mhm.
that certain wrestlers will no longer go for certain belts.
Yeah.
However, I think with the level of stardom that is now in the WWE, the level of talent that is in the WWE,
Mhm.
we're going to start seeing some really, really powerful intercontinental champions and some really powerful United States champions.
Restoring the
order,
prestige of having the Intercontinental Championship. That was basically like, so you had like the heavyweight championship, and then the next one was the Intercontinental. That's like your second best.
And the bummer is like for the last 20 years or 15 years at least, it's been kind of like the mid card guy is your Intercontinental champion.
Right.
But there was a time and a place where, I mean, the legacy of the Intercontinental Championship is so tremendous as it is.
Yeah.
You had you had Hall of Famers who were literally carrying that thing midway through their career. So yeah, man, I think that's I think that's kind of where we're at. And time will tell, but there's only
I do think the match was great. I think I wouldn't have been mad if he dropped it to the Miz, because like Gunther really pulled the best out of Miz, because Miz has been, he's been that guy. He's
got 2 wins, I think, on the year.
Yeah. So I mean, he sits there and he does his thing, and he helps the other talent, get some sort of recognition. He's been kind of like a company guy. And, seeing that like competitive side to him again was really good. And I would have been elated if he got the title, but it's fine. We're here. Gunther's a great Intercontinental Championship. I'm just like, hey, who, when, where, why, and how, when, come on.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Time.
It is time. It's been a long run. We need something different and
chew on.
And listen, if you're not going to give me something different, give me a feud. Give me a feud where it's not a one-off. And I feel like that's what we've been getting a lot of is one-offs. So I'd like to see a feud. Let's see. There was one more thing I was going to say about that. What I really am enjoying is the fact that in his intro, the Miz's entrance, he now is so comfortable with everything he's done. And he takes a joke that was a joke on him, the tiny balls, and he's now added it to his taunts as he walks out into the ring, and he's got the massive balls, and I mean, what a fucking hilarious but cool thing, man.
Miz is super underrated. I feel like he's underappreciated, really. He's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
But honestly, he hasn't really missed a step.
No, and Mr. Triple H, he made a comment about that in the post press conference that the Miz just goes out there and does everything he's supposed to do. And it as time has shown, man, he's just consistent. And it's fun to watch. And like I said, man, I was rooting for him. Typically when it's up against Gunther, I'm like, he's going to get stomped on. But I thought maybe this was the chance. And unfortunately it wasn't. Gunther retains. What a wild run it's been. And the question is who's going to stop Gunther?
Who's next?
Yeah. Okay. Who was next was Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. Now we called this Santos Escobar versus Carlito because up until the night before Survivor Series, that was the match. And then Santos Escobar attacks Carlito, injures Carlito, and the match was going to be canceled. And then Dragon Lee comes out of nowhere and saves the day, or attempts to save the day.
Yep.
Now, realistically, we all kind of see where this is going. This is WWE's way to push Santos, to get him over, to give him that time to shine as a heel. And I don't know if it's working. I mean, I still Joe Santos.
I think he's owning it. I think he's doing great.
I still
People
Joe Santos.
fucking hate him. They're booing.
Yeah, they are. They are. He came out in a really dope poncho too. I'm all about the poncho business.
Dude, I'm loving it.
Yeah, I own a few ponchos myself, and I think they're a W. So more ponchos, more Santos Escobar. It was a pretty straightforward match too. I don't think it made Dragon Lee look great. Dragon Lee's one of those guys that he's embarking the legacy of like Rey Mysterio and trying to really be something
they're
different.
Really touting him as like a generational talent.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is like he's going to be the next Rey Mysterio.
And
like,
then
that's what they're hyping him up to be.
And then he got kind of walked on. And I understand wrestling is wrestling in this regard, where 1 week you can have a squash match style, and then the next match you can be in the main event. But like to me, I'm watching it going, I wish it would have been a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is the mid card, and sometimes those matches have shorter time, especially with the War Games matches being so long and drawn out. It is what it is. Santos wins. Anything else on that?
No, it was just a very straightforward match, like you said. And we have our winner. We have our Santos Escobar, getting pushed as a heel, which is cool. Awesome. This was my bathroom break match. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but the following was Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark, and I loved the idea of this match. I just have no faith in Zoe Stark in this match. I'm happy to see her do bigger things. Happy to see her on a main card at Survivor Series. I think that's great, especially against somebody like Rhea, who is the best in the business right now. But it was a bathroom break. I walked away and I saw her get the win. And nothing, there was no shock and awe. What did I miss? It was exactly what I thought it would be. Yeah. It wasn't anything to like, gasp at or, busting it over. It was a match. I didn't think Zoe did bad. We just knew what it was going to be. We knew it was going to be more of a, Rhea heavy win. And that's what happened. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. And with that being said, there was only 5 matches on this card, which was the women's match was like an hour, and then the men's was like an hour. So they had kind of like fit the other 3 in there. And that's something I was going to kind of touch on when we were talking about the women's, but I was like, we'll save it. Looking at old War Games matches, right before that, before this Survivor Series, I decided to watch some old War Games from WCW and whatnot. Now the rules have changed, and the rules initially it was like 5-on-5, but and the time limit was about the same. It was there was the first 2, and then there was the team with the advantage. They would come in at the 5-minute mark, and then everybody else came in at the 3-minute mark following. But what's interesting is that in the new War Games, everybody had to be in the match before a pin can be done. In the old style War Games from like the 90s, a WCW era, a pin would stop War Games. So if it was 1-on-1 and somebody got the pin, the War Games would never happen. So what I recognized, I was like, well, that obviously doesn't make sense, and then they would never do that, right? But I did find it
bad writing.
Yeah, it would be terrible writing.
That's just reckless.
Yeah, but why not still kind of keep that, like what if kind of out there?
Like might as well. Like it's again, if you let that happen, if you let the match go, boop, it like that, that's just bad writing.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's a waste. That's a waste of a War Games.
But so now, there's a few. That was one of the biggest things I had a problem with. Was I liked the idea of the what if, right? Because I mean, what if the WWE was like, hey, let's get 3-on-2 in there with the expectation of it being 5-on-5 and then just call it, but they would never do that because they're trying to sell an hour-long match and it's more interesting, more stars, more moments. But they didn't have that. So this whole advantage thing about having the advantage, one team has the advantage, one team doesn't, but you have to wait till everybody's in there. Kind of,
it's just dumb. What's the,
cancels the advantage other than the fact of, we did more damage to you than you did to us. I mean, that's all it really. So in my eyes, WWE's kind of, they're kind of missing that. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I still have a massive issue with war games in the WWE. I find it very fun, very entertaining, but when it started in WWE for the first time ever last year in the pay-per-view, because it had been in NXT, but in the WWE, they decided to put a cameraman in between the two rings. Now, last year, the camera guys it was like they didn't expect him to be there, so they would pan over and you just see this fucking guy in between the two rings like this, doing this kind of a thing. And it kind of ruined it a little bit for me because you can see the guy standing there. Now, I looked for it immediately when they started fucking War Games, and they did a much better version, but with camera work, but he's still there. He's still there. He's still fucking there, man. If you go watch the old War Games, there's no cameraman in there. So I don't know, man. Like that kind of.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a little cheesy.
It ruins the allure. I understand.
Does, yeah.
It takes you out of the escapism.
Totally.
Because we're all pulled in. Yes, we get it. It's all scripted, you heathens. Right. But we want to be sucked in. We want to be fooled for a little bit, you know, and that just kind of pulls it away.
It does. That one guy in all black just standing in between the two rings, dude. Yeah. I can only imagine being that guy. Oh, right. It's wild. Yeah. However, that brings us to our final War Games match, which is why the card only had 5 matches on it because it was so long. You had Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Seth Rollins and their mystery opponent or mystery teammate versus Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. Am I missing someone? Oh, and they also had Drew McIntyre. Yeah, it wasn't 4-on-4. It was 5-on-5 with the mystery teammate,
right? Which they announced on the Friday, which before Survivor Series,
which we called. We called, and listen. We had a moment on the previous podcast where I said, it would be crazy if they, decided to go in this direction, and then I paused. And you're like, please say Randy Orton. And I was like, I was going to say that, but I also was going to throw another name out there. Now, do you remember what you said to me afterwards?
I said you were out of your fucking mind or something like that.
Yeah, you said,
don't put that type of energy out into the world.
Yeah, no, you said something like, I hope you get a yeast infection, dude.
Yes. Hey, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Okay.
Which I've been making sure everything's working, just fine. Yeah. But what a wild, we'll get into that just here in a second.
Yeah.
So the match starts and you got 4-on-5. Who was it? It was Seth Rollins going to Cody. Where's your boy? And he was like, he'll be here. Right.
Yeah.
And so you had that throughout the match. I believe Seth that started the match though, right? Was it Seth which makes no fucking sense if you're following Seth's story, because Seth is all about my hurt back and in the fact that I'm this, working man's champion. And why are you the first fucking guy to go out there? Explain it. Makes no sense. So he goes out there, does his thing. Eventually, the match gets kind of lopsided. You get Jay, you get Sammy, you get Cody, you get all of the Judgment Day, and then you get Drew, and it's 5-on-4, and I believe it was the Judgment Day and Damian Priest put Seth through a table. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And all of a sudden you hear Rhea's music, and here comes Rhea with the Money in the Bank. And I'm fucking completely thrown for a loop. I was like, there's no way that this is what's happening right now, right? And she gets there, she hands the briefcase over. Damian acknowledges that he wants it cashed in right now. And then Randy Orton's music pops, dude. And this man looks so jacked.
He looks so good, dude.
Oh my God. There's something about, I was talking to Grinda about this, about the idea of like middle-aged men, when they're in that good a shape, they almost look a little swollen. Like he looked a little, swole,
blowed up.
Yeah, but it's weird how that happens. And you can tell he's like almost, he's not past his prime. He's like at the peak of his prime.
Oh, he's killing it.
I don't know if he's on the juice or not, but I will tell you this: that guy is in the greatest shape you can be in. And for him to have the surgery that he had, to come back and look the way he did with this super RKO. Oh my God. Yeah. In my opinion, I think Io Sky still wins with the trash can from the top of the cage. Yeah. But the super RKO was just amazing.
It was a good spot. It was a really good spot.
Yes. And so Damian never gets to cash in. Randy comes back. You have 5-on-5. And we're going, okay, this is great. And I looked over at the Mrs. Grindette. I looked over at her and I go, it'd be just absolutely insane. I go, me and Kyle talked on the podcast about, CM Punk. And I was like, there's just no way, storyline wise, makes no sense right now for him to return. No. But just imagine, and I'm talking to her about this, and she's like a casual, very, very, very casual. I go, just imagine how wild it would be. I'm almost just talking to myself at this point. And time goes by. We get the Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins win, right? With Randy Orton. Happy as
Before
can
you
be.
get into that, okay? Because I'm just trying. My thoughts on the match.
Yeah, we haven't got there yet.
We have a little bit of a comma here.
Okay.
All I gotta say is that the women's War Games was significantly better than the men's.
You really think so?
I do.
Even with all the drama with Jey Uso and Randy,
it just didn't I just didn't feel it, in the match. I didn't really feel that.
Do you think that it was necessary that they told us that it was Randy? Do you think it would have been better if they didn't tell us it was Randy?
I think it would have been better if we didn't know, right? I thought it would have been incredible if we didn't know, because one, you would be fucking flabbergasted. You would lose it. Because I think that pop itself and the shock of that would have been perfect. I think announcing it definitely dulled, the hype of the match.
Yes.
But I don't know. I felt it was boring. The spots were fine, whatever. But I just think that the women's one was just, I thought it was just better, just overall. Like it held my interest longer.
Okay. I can see that.
Okay. So comma again, something big happened. So I'll let you do it.
There's this moment where you see them win, and Randy didn't look like he was done, by the way. He was going in between the ropes. He looked like he's going to take out the next guy.
He was ready to eat a baby or something.
Yeah, dude, he looked dangerous. And I was like, wow, that was good. What a solid card. And they cut to the little WWE copyright logo in the bottom right hand corner, and there's the wide shot of the ring, and everyone's holding each other's hands up in victory. And then Cult of Personality just hits. And listen, I've seen so many people come back, so many moments of legendary status and returns over the years. I don't think I've ever questioned the reality I was seeing. I literally kept saying, no, it's not, no way. No way. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't the only person who felt that way. It was everybody who watched it. The amount of reactions online that were just, I mean, people, it was, the man made, see, for those who don't know what I'm fucking referencing here, CM Punk made his return to the WWE after a long 9 years with multiple moments of drama from, you know, just stemming from within the company, the AEW stuff that went on in the last few months.
Yeah.
My God. I mean, and what's weird is somebody who's not a CM Punk fan at all, not a CM Punk fan at all, I couldn't help but love every second of it. And we'll get into that in your opinion here in just a second. But the thing that I found the most interesting was this man was able to make grown men cry. And it was the most viral moment in WWE history. God, it's wild. It's in what's in the most insane is it's not because he did something insane. It's because he literally made something that so many people didn't believe in a reality. And listen, I have to hear your take on this because as somebody who's worn a CM Punk t-shirt, I believe on this show.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to start with you because I have not worn a CM Punk t-shirt on this show.
Okay.
And go for it.
You ready? All right.
I'm ready. Listen, for those who don't know, by the way, I've been waiting for this for over a week since that moment happened, pretty much, because you came in with some very strong feelings. And now we're a week removed. You've had some time to digest.
I've had some time.
Yes.
First off, fuck the person that came into my chat because I was streaming at the time. Okay. I'm like, I was telling people, I was like, don't fucking say a goddamn thing. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Like, you can tell me, hey, it was cool, or no, it was bad. Like, that's fine. But outright, like, I didn't get to have the genuine reaction to CM Punk coming because that was ruined for me. So that pissed me off. I was already salty about that, you know? And I think we've talked about it on the show, and I was more mad about him returning because I feel like there's no accountability for him being problematic. Like, he comes in, he gets kicked out from AEW for whatever reason. You can argue about the minutia or what fucking happened. It doesn't matter. Like, he did something out of line to where legally they're like, hey, this is a problem. You need to fucking go. I don't care if it doesn't, you know, there's multiple parties. I don't give a shit. He acted like a fucking child, and he's acted like a fucking child for so long. It's ruined my, you know, like, it's just a sour taste for me. Like, I resonated with CM Punk because he was a hardcore fan. I love hardcore music. It's literally a huge part of who I am. And that shit resonated with me. And watching him just completely do non-punk shit and being a fucking, corporate shill, you know, it just ruined it for me. And I was so mad that he was back, you know, and after letting it all settle, I've been able to look at this in two ways. As a wrestling person, as a wrestling fan, it's great. It's cool. He does have a pull, right? The other part of me is I just hate him I do not like him. I can look at them objectively and separate the two things. I can't stand the guy, but hey, cool. You know, whatever. And what was I going to say? And it's just like just ever since that this has happened, it's just like, there's been this huge polarization on Twitter or X or whatever you want to fucking call it, where you have AEW fans that are just losing it. They're like, oh, he did this, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, and then WWE fans are acting the exact same way.
Here's that full circle moment.
This is the full circle moment. This is where they're behaving the same way as when Edge or Adam Copeland signed with AEW. Y'all are acting the fucking same, a bunch of fucking hypocrites about all this shit. It's like, cool, I got my new shiny toy. Get fucked. Like, that's basically been the behavior. And it's just been like, AEW sucks. They're fucking Tony Khan's terrible at booking or blah, blah, blah. it just like, why are we fighting about this shit? Why is there infighting about fucking professional wrestling? Like, cool, you don't like AEW for whatever reason, that's fine, but let people enjoy whatever the fuck they want to enjoy. Like, it's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. I can't. Just that's why at the beginning of the show I said I love professional wrestling. I can't fucking stand wrestling fans.
100%.
You guys are fucking terrible. Like, and that's fine. Come after me all you want, but it's true. It's true. It's a bunch of hypocritical comments about this and that and this and that, the other company, and just being a fucking brand blowhard for whatever reason. I don't understand why. I don't get it. There's no point. It's stupid.
From a branding standpoint, we really did ourselves one. They're solid, in the wrestling fan, because that's the only people that probably listen to this. But,
yeah, it's fine. I mean, I get it, but it's true. And I'm not the only wrestling fan that feels this way.
No, I feel that way a lot of the time. I felt that way for years, especially with being a Brock Lesnar fan. Because I feel as if sometimes wrestling fans are blinded by the reality of what else is going on in the world. And when you have somebody like Brock Lesnar, once in a generational talent, and you can't get out of your own way sometimes to see that, yes, maybe he's not the greatest on the mic. Yes, maybe he does 15 suplexes and that's it. You got to respect the credits that guy has been given. Yeah. Because ain't nobody, hey, listen, Phil Brooks, Mr. CM Punk, he couldn't do it. He went and got literally, and I said this on, I think it was episode 1 or 2 or maybe even 3. Yeah. I have no respect for CM Punk after what he did in the UFC. I thought it was a lackluster 2 years in the making that they had given this guy a contract to go fight in the UFC. And he fought scrubs and got his ass kicked.
It was a waste of time.
It was a waste of time, but he thought he could go follow the Brock Lesnar, path. And he's not Brock Lesnar. It doesn't work like that. And, sometimes I think wrestling fans are just a little oblivious to reality. And because we get so soaked up with, and not just oblivious to reality, there's wrestling fans are really spoiled in the idea that when they retire, sometimes they come back. We get spoiled in that. It's not like they just have a one and done run. Majority wrestlers do make a return, and that's kind of what we're seeing with CM Punk. Now, listen, I'm going to get off the wrestling fans subject because to anybody who listens to this podcast, thank you for listening to this podcast. Yes. If you're a wrestling fan, I'll give you a nice little fist bump, and hopefully you're not one of the guys Kyle's talking about. If you are, please change your way of thinking.
Okay, well, okay. Let me do a quick little, like, I don't mean to cut you off here. Yeah. Okay, but like, maybe I should clarify my statement. Like, lately, it's been Chicago wrestling fans. Like, and that's okay. So this is one thing that I forgot I was going to say. Like, so I'm like, they planned this in a certain way.
Oh yeah.
Right. Survivor Series was in Chicago. CM Punk has a huge following in Chicago, and that's where majority of his fan base is. And that's a fact. That is a scientific fact. Yes. And the reason why it's a scientific fact is because that's why AEW put their Saturday show in Chicago.
That was all around Punk, by the way.
As much as they possibly could. Yeah. Because anywhere else, and if you listen to those shows where CM Punk was in other states, they booed the fuck out of him because he's a shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But in like the whole, and that's what just kind of skyrocketed this infighting about brands and the things that shouldn't matter and just hating another brand for whatever reason. And, shout out to the NF Bay 96 that uses the terms like, Tony Khan is a bad booker. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, he sold out Wembley. Like, that's not a bad booker.
No.
Like, you don't like the matches, just say that. Like, the whole but just like that's been like the annoying wrestling fan. Like these I don't know.
They're everywhere. I mean, they're all over. They're honestly everywhere. And I think that there's something, like I said, there's something about like my wrestling figures. There's something about like the idea of they're like my toys. there's some in for some people, I feel like wrestling is much more than the way me and you look at it. Obviously we love our soaps and that kind of stuff, but we can walk away from it at the end of the day and go live our lives. Some people, it's all they think about, and they are in the world of make-believe. And so they have chosen a brand, almost like a football team in that regard. And they are lifers. And so when it's very strange in that regard, because I've noticed that, like, and this is the whole CM Punk thing that's going to intertwine to the wrestling fans. Right. Like, here's something funny. The way that I've seen wrestling fans react is when CM Punk came back to AEW, yes, it was centered around Chicago. There was half as much, not even a quarter the amount of buzz, if that. It was a build up for a week. Tony Khan announces CM Punk will be, live in Chicago, right? Okay, cool. We all knew he was coming back, and we all knew that that's what CM Punk was doing. Yes, it was in Chicago. It was set up in a way to make Punk pop. Now, with what Punk had done already in AEW, he's already rubbed people wrong, and this is, plus the UFC stuff. To me, I've never liked any of that. I didn't like the pipe bombs. I don't like the way he handled his run in the WWE, even if he was unhappy. I've listened to multiple podcasts where he said, Vince would tell him to do things that he didn't fucking want to do because it would put the other guy over and it would just bury him. And, that's why he was so vocal. Okay. You know what? I get it. I hear it loud and clear. There's something interesting though about this, where the WWE fan who's probably not rooted for Punk in the past, like myself, loved this moment. And this is where I totally disagree with everything that you came at me with, which is so great, because there was something about it that was right. There was something about it that felt like it needs to happen. And if there was a time to do it, the fact that whatever the shit was behind the scenes, whatever he fucking did in AEW, Triple H saw the opportunity. And from everything I've heard, this deal went down fast. It wasn't over the last 3 months. And if it was, there was conversations where, there was no, like, everything I had heard from Dave Meltzer and all those guys was that there was nothing on the table. It's not impossible, but it's not happening now. And there was all that conversation over the last 2 months. Right. And then sure enough, at the post presser, Triple H made mention that literally, like, him and a few of the people from TKO, they put the deal together like in less than 24 hours. And that's how it came down. And so most of TKO, including Vince McMahon, did not know that this was happening. And so, I mean, you want to talk about a way, there's something there. And I think that that's the most important thing to touch on. Like, if Triple H has done a great fucking job since he's moved into the company and taken over. There's something there that I think most people need to pin, like, that little fucking bullseye, that, because there's something there that we're all missing. Whatever Triple H saw, I'm okay with, because to me, obviously, when you look at the matches and whatnot, the possibilities are endless and it's great. And yes, there are going to be people upset, like a Seth Rollins and a Drew McIntyre, whatever. There's something there, though, that whatever happened with Tony Khan and AEW doesn't line up with the fact that Triple H made him an offer, to me at least. And if it does line up and it's that dirty and Triple H is just like, fucking, let's make the money, then that's kind of fucked. I think truly Tony Khan is just as shady as the guys, some of the guys in AEW. And the only reason I say that is because you hear all these stories. You hear about that day in Wembley. I don't know if you heard this, but when Punk arrived in England to go to Wembley, he was waiting for his town car. There was no town car. Yeah, the dude, he took either the bus or the fucking train. And there's a photo. Can you imagine that? Being CM Punk, you're gonna headline this fucking card, and you are literally taking a train with your casual Like, what the fuck, man? And so I'm not saying that validates it. I'm saying if you really think about it, they were able to make this monumental deal. So yes, there was some discrepancy probably on the table where they're like, I don't know if we should do this. But at the same time, the fact that CM Punk was probably able to get out of his own way, he knows it's his last shot. There's no other fucking opportunities. I mean, no. And he's been, I mean, he will probably never admit it, but the idea, it's been 9 years, 9 fucking years to get back to this point. Like this, and he even said it on the Monday Night Raw. It's home. It's home. And I don't know if that was just to sell the fan because it sold me. Yeah. I don't like CM Punk. I don't like what he stands for in the, I'm gonna fucking say what I want, where I want, do the thing I want. I literally said it during the entire AEW thing. I don't think he's good for the business. I think he's a snake in the fucking grass. Sure enough, he leaves the company. Like, fuck that guy. I hope he ends. He's done. Yeah. But listen, here's the thing. If he's able to be around and people want him around, that there's fans that want him around. They've been talking for the last 3 fucking months. Yeah, all these possibilities. True. Like, what does he add to the roster? He adds depth. In that fucking roster, the roster, we keep going, what's next for Reigns? What's next for fucking Rollins? You can't tell me that you would not want to see a CM Punk versus Rollins or a CM Punk versus Reigns. Now, here's what you don't want to see. What you don't want to see is that man having the golden fucking ticket right back to the top. Exactly. Now, how stupid would Triple H have to be to put him back on a pedestal where he had the most say and fucking made everybody look stupid? There's no way they're ever going to give him the Roman Reigns spotlight ever fucking again. And I don't think he'll hold a main. I truly don't think he'll hold a main belt. And if he does, it's going to be a short amount of time, dude. There's no way.
And is he gonna get fed up with that?
Yeah.
Like how long is this gonna last?
They said it was a multiple year deal. And the thing, from my understanding, I mean, the fact that it gets so much deeper because after the Survivor Series deal and after the reaction, he shows up on Monday Night Raw. Cuts one of the best fucking promos in the last 5 years, at least. He talks about the wise man. I mean, dude, when he was talking about I was like, oh my God, we're going to get that match. We're going to get a Reigns and fucking CM Punk match. It's gonna, why wouldn't you have that match? If you're going to validate the greatest of all time versus the best in the world, that match hasn't happened. That's an insane match. Yeah. That is your WrestleMania match if you can't get The Rock.
It worries me. And here's why. I have several concerns. My main concern is he's 45. He's injury prone.
Yes.
He's to me, like, looking at him, like, sure. I do think it was a money move. I do. With them being able to get that deal in 24 hours from what you're referring, and the rifts that it created within those 24 hours. I think those are going to be detrimental. Yeah. I think you are gonna see some blowback.
But where are those people gonna go, Kyle? Like the Drew McIntyres or the Seth Rollins. Where are they gonna go? They're gonna go, I'm gonna go to AEW? No, they're not.
Probably go back to New Japan because he left New Japan on good terms. Like he didn't.
He's one of the biggest stars in the world right now. He just headlined Survivor Series.
Yeah. But I get it. I'm just saying that, like, whatever. I do think that Triple H should be able to call the storm a little bit. But obviously, like, when you do something like that and add something like that, because what else happened during that night? Well, also we had the return of R-Truth. Let's fucking.
Oh my God, we missed the biggest part of the night, dude. That was the biggest
part of the night. R-Truth coming back.
I went and bought, no joke. I went and bought Ruffles literally the moment after. Yeah. No joke, had Ruffles all night. It was amazing.
I love it, man. Yeah. So you had that. You had the return of Randy Orton. And me personally, and people disagree, and that's fine, but I think that having a CM Punk return over the Randy Orton return, it did overshadow it a little bit. The Seth Rollins thing, I think, is kayfabe. And the reason why I do think it's kayfabe, because, like, so we all saw the clips of him having the very angry reaction to CM Punk being there, right? We all saw that clip. But the clip that didn't surface until the next day or so was him talking about it.
Mhm.
at a live event
On a Saturday or a
on
Sunday.
Saturday,
On Sunday.
or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
like he talked about it, and he says, I'm not going to talk about the guy or whatever. He did whatever that promo that he did. The second that he cut a promo and referenced CM Punk, I knew it was a work. So it's a work. I think that one is. I do think that Drew is legitimately upset. I don't know, because they said that he grabbed his shit and he bolted.
Yes.
So like with that, like that we know that like I do think he was like legitimately upset, but he's been pretty active on Twitter over the past few days, with them announcing like the poster for Royal Rumble. He's like, oh, I'm getting disrespected here. I'm not on the poster, but CM Punk's on the poster or something like that. So I do think that maybe that's starting to kind of like trickle into being a work. But I do think that there was like legitimate, like he was pissed.
Interesting.
So I don't know if you're leaning into that. I don't know.
Do you think that Drew's star power could have risen higher joining the Judgment Day?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I like that they're keeping him kind of like a free agent, like a gun for hire, whatever he's going to do that benefits him in the end. I do think, I think he's a guy that has it.
Okay.
I just think he needs to make some minor tweaks, because like right now it's just very like, I don't know. It's like, like if you're talking to your dad and he tells you like the metal that he likes, like,
yeah,
and versus the metal that you like, and it's like it's not the same. That's Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is the metal music that your dad listens to. Like, I don't like. Do you get it?
Awesome, yeah. That's so good, dude.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like, that's what Drew McIntyre is. Drew McIntyre is the rock and roll music that your dad listens to.
That's so good, dude.
Yeah. That's what he is. He's, in that regard.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
He does what he does. And, I just think that he could do like their minor tweaks and he would be fucking set.
See, and that's kind of where that's why I asked that question, because when I initially saw him and Rhea shake hands, I was under the assumption that he was joining the Judgment Day. And to me, it made that character, he'd get away from the whole Scotland thing and focus more on the dark side of Drew. Right. I thought that would have been a really cool move. Now, do we have a bunch of people in the Judgment Day that it's like the JD McDonough of the world? Like, what are we doing? But when was the last time we had a faction that was the size of NWO? We need one of those, man. I thought maybe that's where we were going with the Judgment Day, but it seems like that's not. So okay, well, man, that wraps up Survivor Series. A lot of questions that are still unanswered. What happens, out of all these people, what happens with Jey Uso now? Jey Uso's still kind of in the mix of things where people love him, people hate him. You have Randy Orton signing with SmackDown, but then RKOing the new manager from SmackDown. What does that mean?
I do think that's like, the Stone Cold treatment, where it's just like, welcome. You just got fucking got.
Hi, I'm here.
Like that's that. I just think that was just like, well, you're gonna have to take the reins.
I was trying to build up the next.
I'm sorry, I'm just a ruiner of joy and happiness.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of what happens with the Cody Rhodes story? Will he ever finish his story? There's a lot of stuff to unfold in the near future, and the next event we get, man. Next time we'll be back is Royal Rumble. They're taking a month off. Pretty much a month, right? What is it, January 27th? It's literally, it's over a month worth of wrestling, which is a lot of time to build a new story. And I guess with touching on the Royal Rumble before we get out of here, the last little bit that they talked about, Mr. Cody Rhodes, the dude who needs to finish his story, announced himself as the first entry in the Royal Rumble. So Mr. Cody Rhodes will be trying to work his way to another shot at WrestleMania, man. Wild.
I mean, we get a little bit of a break, but we do have some AEW.
AEW, yep.
I do love me AEW.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about those here in the near future.
Yeah, so we're gonna we still got some wrestling to talk about.
Yeah, some the 50 and older club. Those guys.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. Love it. All right. With that being said, that wraps up another episode of the Lower Mid Card Podcast. See you soon.